Hello, everyone. This is Keith Stone with the Center for Hellenic Studies, and I'm here with Greg Nagy and Elen and Sarah. This is HeroesX office hours for hours 9 and 10 for v10 of HeroesX. Our hour 9 question is, actually, Greg, do you want to read this since it's in the first person?
When I was a PhD student at Harvard, so many years ago, I once heard something most striking from my old teacher, John H. Finley, who was a stellar professor of ancient Greek literature. Odysseus, he said in one of his lectures, gets a good press only in the Odyssey. Oh, I continue. Well, he was certainly right in implying that Odysseus gets a bad press in ancient Greek traditions situated outside our Odyssey. That is to say, he's an incorrigible trickster, as anthropologists would say it, and he tends to violate social norms. Perhaps he can violate even moral norms. I cannot disagree with such formulations, but my question here is heading in a different direction. Can we say that Odysseus gets bad press, even in our Odyssey?
Yeah. Second question. Actually, Greg, this is your first person again. So.
Okay, so here goes Greg in first person. I've thought for a long time that the story of the land of the Lotus-Eaters in Odyssey 9, lines 82 through 104, gives us a good way to understand the symbolism that we find embedded inside the Homeric Odyssey. But maybe I'm oversimplifying. Please feel free to agree or disagree.
Lovely.
So,
what have people been saying?
Well, several of them have been saying that it's a little bit too early for them to tell.
Oh, very smart.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
They want to know more. They want to read more, maybe, about him. But, you know, right in the Odyssey 9, he's very truthful. He says himself, Odysseus says himself, I am son of Iliad, and I am with all my acts of trickery.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
he's very truthful. He tells right away who he is and the way he is. So
that he is a trickster. He is well known. He says, "Melo, I am on the minds of humans." And by on their minds, he means that they're ready to sing about this. I'm on their minds because of all manner of tricks. Doloi. You're right. Yeah. But I tell you, I was thinking in the back of my mind about a wonderful book by Paul Radin, R-A-D-I-N, but actually I think he pronounced it in American ways, Paul Radin. And it's a book called The Trickster, where the trickster can be a culture hero simply by presiding over stories about him or her that may violate all sorts of social norms, but which therefore teach the rest of us how to stay away from those violations ourselves. And I remember Paul Radin has a very nice appendix in this book called The Trickster, about a Winnebago tradition. This is a Native American society that's somewhere around, the way I remember it, northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota, southern Canada. And there, the trickster figure violates all of these social conventions in the story and then steps out of the story and then tells you and me how he violated the points in the story, so that we all learn not to do that. He does it, but he's teaching us not to do it. And let's just start with the violating of social norms. And here, we already have a very good indication in Odyssey 8, when he is an anonymous guest. And what does he do? He goes up to the sacrificed animal, the meat of the sacrificed animal, and he starts carving it up as if he were the host. Well, he's not the host, he's the guest. He hasn't even been identified yet, and there he is. He's just carving it out. Now, how's that for a violation? And then, of course, our participants have already noticed that in Iliad 9, it was prearranged that Odysseus would speak second, not first. But there he goes. He just starts speaking, even though Ajax is nodding to Phoenix, who should have been the first to speak. But oh no, Odysseus speaks first and arguably ruins the whole embassy, because he is too tricky in the way he sets terms. So I know I'm not following the rules here, because we're not talking about the Iliad, we're talking only about the Odyssey. But all I'm saying is, already in what our participants have read, if they're only in, let's say, Odyssey 8, there are already clear indications that he is not playing by the rules. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, Greg, whether even going right back to the very beginning, this word polytropos, that versatile or turning in many ways, is maybe giving us a hint that he's not quite as straightforward as we might like.
Yes, and he may say one thing and mean another thing. And again, I think back maybe unfairly to the Iliad, where Achilles says, "Hateful to me, like the gates of Hades, is somebody who says one thing and means another thing." Well, Odysseus does that all the time. And he is not only a changer of language, he's a changer of personality, even exterior personality, like an octopus.
Would you say that Odysseus is trying to get the embassy to fail? Or is this one case where he, his craftiness does not succeed? He's trying to make it succeed in his own tricky way.
I think he's trying to make it succeed because, after all, what's really tricky about his speech is he does not repeat a set of lines by Agamemnon, where Agamemnon is saying, "You tell them this, you three emissaries, and if Achilles accepts, that's good, and that'll show that I am superior to him. I, Agamemnon, am superior to Achilles." Well, Agamemnon says that, but Odysseus certainly does not transmit that part. So I would say the intention of Odysseus is to get Achilles to...
I can't see Achilles accepting a deal that made him look inferior.
Yeah, and that's why he hides that part.
Right.
But I think he wanted him to join in, because at that point, everybody needed the strength of Achilles, not the intelligence of Odysseus. And that's why Achilles can say sarcastically, "Oh, you come to me now. Well, why don't you come up with a clever plan?" So he's on. It's these characters are in a way, already aware that there's this big problem of, will Troy be captured by way of the strength of a hero like Achilles, or by way of the intelligence of a hero like Odysseus? But I mean, all of these questions are in a way academic because Odysseus doesn't behave overtly quite as badly as he does outside the Odyssey. And for that matter, even outside the Iliad. I'm thinking of, the Philoctetes of Sophocles, where he is so dyed-in-the-wool negative, and he is what we moderns would call a real villain, practically. And the list goes on. So I think Finley was right that he gets overtly bad press everywhere. Sure, I'm asking myself, does he get bad press in the Iliad and in the Odyssey? But not to that extent. So that would be my answer to my own question. Is that it's pretty bad, but it's not quite that bad.
Well, so go ahead, Sarah.
Go ahead.
No, just one of the participants, of course, he comments about the killing of the suitors and the killing of the maids.
Yes.
So this gets really bad press, and it's in the Odyssey. So
yeah. Of course, then some people could counter argue, well, even Achilles gets bad press, in the sense that. At least I think that Achilles really messes up, so to speak, in conducting the funeral of Patroclus. To include a human sacrifice is just not morally acceptable, and it's a subverted ritual in 23. And ironically, it's the funeral of Hector that is ritually correct, but the funeral of Patroclus is not ritually correct, and it's Achilles who ruins it.
And his dragging of Hector.
Oh, it's just awful. Oh. And that's why the gods are so outraged. And the gods are outraged at Odysseus too. We sometimes see it, sometimes not.
Yes, that I was looking at at some of the opening parts to see, before he really takes center stage, what is being said or not being said about him. And we know that most of the gods are no longer angry with him. They're feeling sorry for him, but apart from Poseidon, and even Zeus is being accused. Well, are you still angry with him? Why aren't we doing something about this? So we know that it sounds to me as if the gods have maybe started to soften in their attitude, but maybe at some point they have been angry. If a god's angry with you, you must have been doing something pretty extreme.
And this brings us to the point that Athena must have been angry with Odysseus at various stages. And what our Odyssey tends to highlight is where Athena finally comes around to helping him. But where was Athena when Odysseus went through all these stages of suffering? She just wasn't there.
I think Odysseus actually himself says that when he's praying to her at one point, and then she's going, well, it kind of was, but she really wasn't, not visibly.
She's just not there for him. She's there for Telemachus, interestingly, but not for Odysseus until he actually makes it back to Ithaca. Then and only then does her help for the hero kick in.
Well, I'm not sure. Some of us have been looking quite carefully at Odyssey 6 and 7, and she does actually start to help at that point. She's guiding him to the Phaeacians from the water, and then when he gets to her precinct, and then she leads him into the town.
Point well taken. Although even there, I would say that curiously, it's not so much Athena who throws the lifesaver, so to speak, to Odysseus. It's it's the white goddess. So even there, it's more the surrogate who really helps. But I grant you that the white goddess, when she appears as a bird, as an Aithria, it is already a surrogate for Athena, because Athena actually has that same word, Aithria, as her own epithet. So she herself can manifest herself as that. But I'm still saying there's more white goddess there and less Athena, but I still take your point. And of course, if we follow, as I do, the reasoning of Douglas Frame, Nausicaa herself is a surrogate for Athena in many ways. So I take your point. She's hovering,
but not visible to him. Not clear.
Yes, not clearly. Exactly.
I also wondered, in the texts, the passages you've provided for hour 9, we have part of the Iliad Persis, which is outside of the Odyssey.
Yes.
And then you're comparing it to the Song of Demodocus, where those events are screened out. We see him, he's responsible for killing Astyanax. And back in the Iliad, we're so busy concentrating on those laments and the foreshadowing of that. And that seems to be one of those pieces of bad press that's hinted at but not made explicit.
Exactly. It's not made explicit. And another elephant in the room that is never mentioned in the Odyssey. I just ruined the aesthetics of the Odyssey. It's not an elephant. I'll tell you what it is. It's the Palladium, the archaic statue of Athena, which Odysseus himself stole from the citadel of Troy. And we often forget that Troy is sacred to the goddess Athena, which is quite a subtext, isn't it? And she, let's try it again. Odysseus, he, together with Diomedes, steal this most sacred thing that protects Troy from destruction. And that's the statue of Athena, which was called in the ancient world the Palladium. And the Palladium is all over the place in ancient Greek literature, but it is, can I say it this way, censored. It is occluded. It is not mentioned a single time in our Odyssey.
If Troy was so sacred to Athena, maybe Paris ought to have chosen Athena.
Oh, yes.
On that fateful day.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I was thinking too that if Odysseus is a villain in many other places, and even somewhat in the Odyssey as we have it, maybe people, the tellers and hearers of these stories, would have thought he deserved all of this that was happening to him, and their own minds would be as slowly changed as those of the gods, softening along with them. Maybe begrudgingly we can allow Odysseus, this villain that we know, to get some nice treatment.
Well, and what about Odysseus as a ideal leader? Well, if he's an ideal leader, how come after the successes at Troy that he loses every single one of the men he leads? Every single one of them. There's not a single companion left by the time he washes up on the shores of Ithaca. Or doesn't get washed up. He gets deposited there by the Phaeacian ship. But you get my point. He is a failure as a leader who should be saving his own men. And after all, the beginning of the Odyssey is announcing that he tried very hard to save his men. Oh, but they were reckless. Well, they were reckless, but so was he.
Yeah, the only example of recklessness it gives is that they ate the cattle, but it was only the few that were left that did that. Some of them had already died.
Exactly. By that time, there weren't that many left. Yes. So it's a wonderful thing. It doesn't bother me at all because there are similar asymmetries in other great epic traditions. I'm thinking of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, the two big epics of Indian civilization. And there too, you could say, well, Mahabharata is kind of a canonical epic, but the Ramayana doesn't really fit. So there's a kind of fitting epic and a kind of does not fit epic. And the two of them together, one more orderly, one more chaotic, is a very nice kind of symmetry for the kind of verbal art we're dealing with, where the verbal art is somehow addressing everything that's important in a given society writ large.
Yes, one of the participants writes about this, what you just said, and she writes about these two Indian epics. So,
which is quite comparable, and I couldn't imagine Ramayana without the Mahabharata. Similarly, I could not imagine an Odyssey without the Iliad. It's the Iliad that sustains the Odyssey as an epic.
What about the land of the Lotus-Eaters? What are folks saying about that?
Yes, yes.
Well, in fact, that is where one of the participants has drawn a parallel where somebody's forgetting a symbol to remember your task despite the distractions, and is drawing comparisons to some of the stories in the epics there too. So.
Yeah. I could say it in an even more simplifying way, because I so think that the words nostos and noos are so closely related to each other. Nostos meaning not only coming back, but can I say it in colloquial English, coming to, where you regain your consciousness by coming to. So there's nostos as the mythological way of regaining consciousness, and then there's noos, which is consciousness. So you can put it this way: if you don't have consciousness, then you can't have return to consciousness. Or let's say it in Greek: if there's no noos, there cannot be nostos. And you certainly lose your noos if you ingest the lotus, because it produces a blankout. So if you blank out, then how can you be aware and conscious of going home? No, you can't.
There's another example of Odysseus getting good press, because he does actually succeed in rescuing these people. He doesn't just leave them there oblivious of return. He does bring them back.
He does at that point. Yes, the men are saved at that point, though he can't save them at later points. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because they forgot where home was, probably. Yeah.
It's not surprising. I mean, after such a long voyage and time away, you might just find a nice island on your way back home.
Yes.
I think life is simpler here.
Yes. And then blank out on what real home is.
But there are other episodes where might not be a forgetting. It's not quite eating the lotus, but it's certainly staying with other people for a while and perhaps not going away quickly. I'm thinking of Circe, for example, episode of Circe.
So wonderful.
Yeah, the Odysseus' men certainly forget themselves there, you could say.
But he does too. They have to remind him, don't they?
Oh yes, he goes up to an elevation and realizes, oops, this is not home. And then he goes down to ground zero and says to his companions, you know, I don't know where the sun rises and where the sun sets anymore. Or let's say it in our modern way, I am disoriented. I don't know where the Orient is. And then everybody despairs. So disorientation, mental disorientation, leads to despair about making it back home, and despair about coming to, about just being conscious of what you are, and therefore going back to what you are.
Yeah, and when he gets finally home, he doesn't not think he's home. So, you know, he has
to get jump started.
Well, Athena makes it very dramatic. Yes. Covers everything in a mist or something. And,
yes.
And she's like, "Oh, Odysseus, here you are."
Yeah. It's beautiful.
So I don't know, a simplification maybe, but an oversimplification,
maybe not.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see, Greg. I know you have to go very soon.
So yes. Sad me.
Perhaps we should wrap up for this time.
How about last words for Iliad and Sarah?
Last for this occasion.
Yes, only for this occasion.
Well, I was thinking again about, we've talked before about how a micro-narrative can kind of give you a glimpse to the whole thing. And I wonder if we could maybe see the Lotus-Eaters incident as having elements, but then also all of the other little stories as well. There are different glimpses of this many-faceted story.
I love that. And so, how to put it? It may be a micro story, but it's not an oversimplified story. It's just compressed. I'll take it. Thank you.
All right. Iliad, anything from you before we go?
Just one comment, that I think that Odysseus is always rebuilding his identity.
Nice.
Through the world epic, you know.
Oh, I love that. I love that. In the modern world, we'd say he's always reinventing himself, but I think the way you said it is so much better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
all right. See you all next time.
Till the next time.